Hello and welcome back to the University of Law podcast and our 24 questions in 2024 series. I'm Alex Gill, an LLB student studying at Bristol campus, and today I am joined by Aruna Verma, Dean of Moorgate campus. So hi Aruna, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for the opportunity.
No worries, thank you. And I guess the first thing to do is to start with you telling us a bit about yourself and your role at the university.
Okay, so like you've just introduced me, my name is Aruna Verma. I am originally from the UK and I have heritage back in India. I'm the eldest of three, the wisest, as they say. And at the university, I am an associate professor and I am the campus dean. I'm also a qualified solicitor and currently sit as a tribunal chair as well.
Yeah. And then just a kind of more general question about your role. What do you enjoy the most about it?
It has to be the interaction with students and staff. I work at a physical campus, so here in Moorgate. So I have interactions with students before they even join the University of Law. So at open events, maybe online or face-to-face. We had a very big event yesterday at the university, right through to graduation and beyond. So I still have good relationships with my students who keep me updated on what they're doing and where they've qualified and what they've qualified into afterwards as well. So that's the most enjoyable part of my role.
Yeah. And then I guess to give us a bit more context of how you got into the role, could you kind of run through your journey from being at the university, and you studied your LPC,
Yes.
I believe at Guildford campus.
That's correct. Yes.
And now obviously becoming a dean. So kind of just a bit more about the journey.
Absolutely. So I'm first generation educated, so first and only lawyer in the family. Everyone else decided to become an accountant or go into business, so not a good role model. So from the age of 15, I knew I wanted to become a lawyer to help people and to read law and challenge the law as well. So I went on to do my LLB. Then you're correct in saying that I did my LPC at the Guildford branch. Went on to qualify. I qualified as a solicitor in 2005 and then began teaching. So during my time at the university, so I started teaching in 2008 and I've taught across a number of programs, but predominantly when I started, it was on the bar course because of my advocacy experience. I then became a course leader, a program leader. I then went off to Hong Kong, came back and applied for the job as the dean.
And then I guess in your role now as the dean, what's kind of the typical day for you at the university?
I don't think we can have a typical day. There's nothing.
I was going
like
to say it for no, I'll leave it.
Yeah. So yes, it can be from interacting with students. No hour is the same. So I've been the campus dean for 11 months now, and there's a variety. So I'm always updated about the facilities. I'm updated about results. I love speaking to students, and I attend the student staff meetings to see what their concerns are. I speak to the staff regularly. We had a meeting just yesterday as well. So I guess there's three main parts to the role. It's student facing, staff facing, and outward facing as well.
Yeah.
So a combination of that in the day.
Yeah, a combination of things. Yeah. Going back to your time in practice, I know you said you had advocacy skills. So what area did you actually specialise in?
So during my training contract, I did a lot of litigation work and conveyancing. And interestingly, I did a lot of criminal work as well. So hence I was either at the police station or the criminal courts.
And then just to follow that on, did you have a standout case you worked on? Obviously, I know you can't tell us all the details for some cases, but maybe a particular favourite one.
I don't think I'd say it was a favourite one, but there's a couple of cases that do stay with me. And I guess it's for kind of the ethical dilemmas that were faced during the case. So, for example, I was called out to the police station to represent a client who had been arrested on suspicion of murder. Went down to the police station, spoke to the client, got some disclosure from the police investigator, and there was no body. So it's all on suspicion that my client had killed somebody. So kind of getting the disclosure, speaking to the client, it was quite unusual to have a murder without a body, but that case then did transpire into finding the body, etc. So that's one that sticks out in my mind. Unfortunately, I can't go through any other details with you.
Yeah, that's absolutely understandable. And then obviously going from the interesting world of the kind of criminal aspect of the legal sector, what then made you want to become a lecturer?
So yes, I did a lot of advocacy in court right from day one of qualifying, because then I had rights of audience. And so that was in 2005. And then there was an advert for some teaching roles at the university. And I know that this might sound a little bit fairy tale, but I wanted to give back. I had a lot of experience in court. I was doing between kind of 4 to 10 hearings a day in the magistrates court. I worked for a very busy firm. So I had a lot of experience. So I started off part-time. So it was brilliant because the firm allowed me to work part-time at the office and part-time at the university. So it was really enjoyable for me, and it didn't feel, I've always wanted to enjoy my work because we spend a lot of time at work. So it was one of those things where I really enjoyed, giving back to students and telling them my stories about how it is in practice, something that we always tell students when we're teaching. So yes, that's why I wanted to kind of go into lecturing and sharing the knowledge and skills that I'd picked up.
And then just kind of picking up on that thing about want to kind of give back to the community. Is that always something that you've always kind of wanted to do? It's just in general?
Yes. So in general, and the university does help me in doing that. So we have a lot of initiatives. About a month ago, I went to my local school and I was going through how to write an introduction to an essay. So again, it doesn't have to be necessarily in the HE sector. I'm able to then give back in different ways. So there are a lot of opportunities here.
And I'm going to be a bit cheeky because this is 2 questions in one. But I know obviously earlier you mentioned briefly that you were seconded to Hong Kong and you actually helped establish the University of Law's first international campus. How was that experience for you, firstly?
It was an experience. So I was originally seconded for a year. So it happened quite quickly. So I applied for the job, had the interview. By the end of the week, I was told I had it. And it was like, oh, okay, I better tell my family and start packing. So it was me, 2.5 suitcases, and I ended up in Hong Kong. So somewhere I had never, ever traveled to before. Did some cursory research on the plane there, but ended up there in the middle of protests, got tear gassed a couple of times. COVID then happened in the January. So it was quite challenging. It was challenging times, but I felt like I've grown as a person, and I've been able to rely on myself a lot more. Because here, obviously, we have big teams here. I had my line manager here, etc. But when I was in Hong Kong with the time difference, I didn't really want to wake my boss up at 3 a.m. And ask him some questions. So, I was able to be autonomous and make decisions and carry them through. So, I learned a lot about myself.
And then to kind of follow up on that, what are the kind of key differences in actually providing the quality of education out there in Hong Kong? I mean, I know you said there, there's difficulties with yourself in terms of management within the team, but also kind of creating new opportunities in the region for people aspiring to get into the legal profession as well.
It was a blank canvas, and it was amazing because it enabled me to shape the way that we provided the opportunities. Hong Kong is a great place to network. So students worldwide are eager to learn. The materials we taught were, if you're sitting in Bristol or Manchester or Nottingham, you're taught in the same style and the high quality at the University of Law. But again, I was making those opportunities, making those networks for the students to then do pro bono work, to get work experience. We had a lot of speakers in. So I tried to replicate a lot of the things that I did in Moorgate before I left Hong Kong, and create those opportunities and create that blueprint in my first year. So the first year went really quickly, and I decided to stay another year. So obviously built up more opportunities. So it was great, and the opportunities are endless wherever you go.
Yeah. And then also kind of just the last bit on this part is, when you say you had a blank canvas, I mean, for some people that's more of a worry or kind of a hurdle to get over, but it sounds like you relish the chance to kind of set it up in your own image sort of thing.
Yes, absolutely. So it was just the first thing I had to do was get a team of lecturers together. So again, putting out an advert, interviewing people to be the lecturers, training them up, and they had networks of their own. So everyone was very willing to help set up these opportunities. So again, we had a calendar of events and opportunities which students could dip in and out of, which was really great.
Yeah. And then kind of bringing it back to the modern day, obviously the legal education landscape has changed a bit with bringing in of the SQE, or the Solicitors Qualifying Exam, as a new route into the practice.
Yeah.
Both as your experience, obviously, as a qualified solicitor and a dean, how do you think that's kind of affected things?
So at Moorgate, it's affected hugely, because we do still teach the LPC. The numbers are fewer, and the SQE numbers are growing. So we have a good population of students here. There has been a sea change. We can really see the shift now. So more SQE students. We do offer the preparation course for students to prepare to sit the external exams, but we are finding that the students are more interested in the LLM SQE 1 and 2. So it's a longer course. You get a master's out of it. So it gives you that solid foundation. So yes, you are qualifying as a solicitor and you're on your way, but you're also picking up a master's. So we teach that it's very practical, and we have very different modes as well to suit the flexibility and the lifestyle of the students.
And then I guess picking up from your own experience, do you think that the new way of qualifying is better than the old way, or do both ways have kind of merits to themselves?
Absolutely, both ways have merits. The students who were previously doing an LLB still have a choice. The students who are embarking on studies now don't have a choice. But they are equally, our materials that we deliver are equally as vigorous and strong as the LPC. So we really want the students to have the best knowledge and experience before they go into their qualifying work experience.
Yeah. And then moving on to some topics more maybe close to your heart, I guess. I've seen you're quite active with helping with competitions like mooting, for example.
Yes.
And I think you're part of the judging panel as well with those competitions. Could you just tell us a bit more about either the mooting competition or any competitions you're part of?
Absolutely. So when I was a program lead, one of the opportunities that I set up was the skills development. So we have a range of competitions that we run at Moorgate. And again, these are done annually. So we have the client interviewing competition. So that is the art of interviewing. So all of these competitions that I run here are skills based. So it's not something that you can read in a book. It's something which you need to practice and refine and get comfortable with. So client interviewing is one. The negotiation competition is another, and mooting is a third that we run. So it's quite busy. Mooting is a very, very popular. Students, so it's a problem with no answer. So we give students some training on that. I train the students up, give them the scenarios, and then we have rounds. So a couple of years ago, we were fortunate enough to get a place to do our final moot at the Supreme Court, so the highest court of the land, with one of the judges from there, which was amazing. We also got a tour as well. For the negotiation competition, we then entered our winners from Moorgate into the external competition. So there's an external competition, we call it the national competition, and our students from Moorgate actually won the national competition, so then went on to represent England at the international competition, which was then held in Rome in July last year. So again, it's a great opportunity for the students to meet other students from across the world, meet other judges, and have that experience of going abroad and doing the skill of negotiation. So this year, our two teams from Moorgate have got to the nationals. So I'm hoping that they'll get a bit further, and the internationals are set this year in Brazil. So
Wow.
let's see. Yeah.
I was going to say, let's hope. But wow, I mean, those experiences sound amazing as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of obviously these are the experiences that now people are allowed to enjoy because of hard work from people who support it. So how do you kind of get involved in supporting the students and judges, throughout the competition sort of thing?
So initially, I was approached to be a host at Moorgate. So with these external competitions, they do need places to host. So I originally hosted, I got involved, I wrote my own program for an internal competition. And then I'm on the external panel as well. So I help organise the events at national level too. But it's a great opportunity. And I think the word that you used was these are competitions which are close to my heart, and I wish that I had these opportunities when I was studying. So I guess I want to go that extra bit for the students to have these opportunities, again putting them on their CV, talking about them in their interviews. We want our students to shine, and things like this will help them.
Yeah, and I guess it's going back to that sense of giving back. You wish you had that experience, and this enables you to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
I know we've definitely probably touched on this a little bit, but to round it into one question, obviously mooting and the other competitions you mentioned, why are they important for law students to get involved with? And also, what opportunities, apart from maybe a trip to Rome, do they offer?
So it's important for law students to get involved, because whether you want to become a solicitor or a barrister or neither, it's important to have those skills. So client interviewing, you might be interviewing a prospective employee, so it doesn't have to be in the law context. And also negotiation. I guess we negotiate every day of our lives, but without realizing. And I'm for certain my 6-year-old nephew negotiates quite a lot with me anyway when he wants to sleep over and wants to stay up a bit later. So it's part of it's part of our everyday life. So honing in on those skills and recognizing the negotiations and the mooting and the putting forward arguments, all part of our daily lives. So it creates that opportunity. It gives the students the confidence as well. Some students are not confident about doing public speaking, so we're creating those opportunities in a safe environment for them to have a go. And it's been amazing for them.
And then I've done one or two of these sort of competitions myself, and it definitely, there's something that's within you that comes out that you didn't know you had beforehand.
Absolutely.
So
you've got to try it.
So moving on from once the students have got their kind of mooting experience, and obviously you've seen them develop through the university, I know that you would kind of engage with students via social media, and especially LinkedIn. How do you think that kind of social media engagement and support is kind of part of your role as Dean of the campus?
It's a it's a support on very many levels. So, for example, if I ever want a couple of judges to judge, or if a law firm wants to judge and sponsor any of the competitions, it's very easy to do. Also, for students who are incoming, it's a great way for them to connect with the community that they're coming to. And also, once students have graduated, are in their lines of work, it's really interesting to see what they're up to. Sometimes they have opportunities in their firms, which can be opened up to current students as well. So I think it's great on a number of on a number of levels. The algorithm works really well. So I think it thinks that I want some kind of training contract or or a chambers pupillage or something, because I keep getting offered jobs. So I share those, and it's quite nice to hear that some of those students have, through my posts, have applied for those jobs and ended up at those firms. So again, I find that really heartwarming.
Yeah, I mean, I only just touched on it there, but because LinkedIn's obviously quite if it's as a social media form, it's quite a careers-led thing.
Yes.
So what would you kind of say the top benefits are of being active on there? I know you just said one there, but maybe some others as
Yeah,
well.
job opportunities. So there's a lot of networks on there as well. So if you want to join a network, which I don't know, there's networks for young solicitors, for paralegals, or just any general interests that you have. So again, I think we've spent quite a lot of time in lockdown, and I know it's been a number of years now, but it's a good way to connect with other people, and it's a really easy way to connect with people around the globe. So it's easier for you to kind of have common interests and share those interests, and equally follow cases as well. I know quite a lot of barristers who share their cases on there as well, or their judgments, pardon me. And it's interesting to read and then have a bit of a discussion with them as well. So I find that really interesting.
And then the next couple of questions are just more linked about your personal career. And then this question can be applied to either you as a solicitor or the dean of your campus. But what is your proudest achievement in your career to date?
Can I have two?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Okay. So the first proudest achievement would be continuing teaching through COVID in Hong Kong. It was pretty horrific out there. Overnight, people were told to not go out, etc. No one in the world knew what they were doing. We had just started we've completed our first semester, and it was really important for us to continue the education for the students. So over a weekend, I spearheaded and set up the online teaching for students, sent them all the links, etc. And without any changes or amendments to the schedule, the tutors were all trained up, the students were all aware of where to click, etc. And we were able to replicate the face-to-face teaching online so that we could continue with their studies without disruption. So that was a lot of work. It was a lot of forward thinking. And we thought it was only going to be for a short while, but we all know what happened. But that was one of my proudest moments. And I guess the second one would be getting a letter from the Lord Chancellor telling me that I'm now a tribunal chair. And I'm quite proud of the tribunal because it's the first completely online tribunal as well. So very forward-thinking tribunal.
I was going to say they're both excellent achievements as well. So well done you as well.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Alex.
And then the kind of final question for this section: what 3 top tips would you give students starting their degrees now?
I would say that I know that you're not in class every single day doing lectures and seminars, but the biggest piece of advice and the most important I was given when I started my LPC was to treat the course like a 9-to-5 job. So whether you've got classes or not, wake up, make sure that you're at your desk, had your breakfast, ready to start, have your natural breaks, your lunch breaks, and try and finish at around 5 or 6. Sometimes there'll be more, you might need to put a bit more time into it around exams, etc. But try and, get into a rhythm so that you're able to enjoy some time at the evenings and the weekends as well. I would also say that We do applications. We make applications for paralegal jobs, training contracts, chambers, jobs all the time, which are competency based. And sometimes it's quite challenging to think about, when did I work in a team and when was I effective, etc. And then you end up awake all night thinking about that. So keep a diary or a notebook or a Word document, and anything new or challenging that you do or you feel that can demonstrate reading a document under time pressure, or organizing an event, or leading an event, or even working, if it's not a legal based job or a business based job, any kind of job that you're doing, if you're doing anything that you are doing for the first time, make a note of it, because when you make those applications, you're just looking down your list and picking the best example. The third tip I would give is try and get yourself a mentor. I've still got a mentor. I've got a couple, in fact. And it's nice to bounce ideas. People are really generous with their time. They just want to be asked if you could be their mentor. So, a mentor you don't need to contact your mentor every day. It can be once or twice a year. It could be just for a coffee, just to kind of get an insight into what's going on in industry. But collect mentors as you go along. It's a good way of understanding the industry.
Yeah. There's a really good top tips, and I've just written down myself. So
Okay,
especially like the notebook and writing down when you first come over something. It does make it easier when you go into interviews or when you're doing questions.
Absolutely.
You're like,
Yeah. One side note I would also say is, and I'm guilty of this as well, when you're writing applications and you're writing, the employability will give you help. Try and use the STAR method. But like I said, I'm guilty of this myself. When there's a situation, I will describe it. And I've got feedback in the past that I'm quite a pedestrian. I did this and I did this and this is how I did it, etc. So I'm not demonstrating the impact of that competency. So what I've decided to do now when I write these out is to, at the top of my page, I write impact. So when I'm writing this competency out or demonstrating that I'm able to work in a team under high pressure, etc., what impact am I having on that situation? Yeah. And just having that word at the top just changes the way you write things.
Yeah. And then just going on to our last bit of the podcast, we've got some outro questions for you to get to know you a bit, to get a bit better.
Sure.
So the first one is, if you could make one change in the world, what would it be?
Okay. Something close to my heart is free education. So education, I believe, is one thing that no one can take away from you. So yes, they might be able to, steal your car, burgle your house, whatever. People can do that and take that away. But once you're doing courses and you're becoming educated, that's something that no one can take away from you. And it also helps build a village, helps society, and helps the world ultimately.
Yeah. And then if you were hosting a dinner party, could you name a guest, dead or alive, you would like to invite, and why?
So I recently moved house and I don't have a dinner table, so I won't be hosting any dinner party. So I can't invite anyone right now. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Well, it's honesty. So there we go. And then the next one is, what is your favourite movie?
I think it has to be Home Alone 1 and 2. It's classic. It's a classic. I watch it with my family. It brings it's comfort, and it reminds me of kind of sitting with my family when I was really young and watching this film, and it's got something for everyone.
Yeah. And kind of linking onto that comfort feeling, what is your favourite way to relax?
Scrolling through TikTok. So that's the truth. So yeah, scrolling through TikTok. I've tried to meditate. I've tried to go to yoga classes, but too slow for me. So TikTok is the way for me to relax.
And then if you were stranded on a desert island and could only take 3 items with you, what would those 3 items be?
Oh, interesting. So I'm hoping I could take my phone with the charger and somewhere to charge it. I know that's expanding the item. I've recently bought a Dyson Airwrap, which I'm not very good at using, so maybe I'll take that to practice. And also a notebook to write some notes down and some memories and things that I want to remember.
Yeah, that's a good three. And then, what is your favourite place to travel to, and why?
I love going back to Hong Kong. It does. I had never moved there before moving there. I had never been there before, and I feel like I've got a sense of belonging there. And also, there's just so much to do, so much exploration, and there's never a dull moment.
Who do you admire the most, and why?
So most recently, I've been admiring, and I managed to get tickets to see him as well, as Stephen Bartlett. So on Dragon's Den. I've been in the Dean's role now, so for about 11 months, and I find that he's a great leader to aspire to. I want to be a leader where I am supporting and coaching my teams, and also taking them with me. So taking them with me on this journey of new opportunities here at Moorgate. So I'll let you know how I get on at his show.
Well, yeah, sounds very good. And Dragon's Den is always a good show to watch as well, just in general.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last question is a bit of a self-reflection. But what advice would you give to an 18-year-old self?
So the 18-year-old Aruna, I would tell her to take as many risks as opportunities. So, sometimes I've let opportunities go by because I felt that they were too risky, just to have confidence. So, for example, the last 3 jobs that I've applied for, I didn't have self-confidence. And I applied thinking that I wouldn't get them. So the first one was applying to the job in Hong Kong, which I got. The second one was applying as a tribunal chair, which I got. And then the third one was applying for campus dean, which I got. So have self-confidence and take risks and opportunities in equal measure.
Yeah. I think there's a very good 3 bits of advice as well. So, but thank you very much for joining us there, Aruna. It's been a very interesting getting to know your journey as well.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite, and thank you for the questions. I hope you enjoyed
that's fine.
them.
I did indeed. And if you'd like to learn more about our campuses and what they offer, please visit our website at law.ac.uk, and do also follow us to keep up to date for our next episode. And thank you everyone for listening.